When we speak about corruption, not just in Sierra Leone, but all over the world, we focus on certain things which is what preoccupies our minds. But what I have observed from this, and many people have been writing about it, particularly economists, behavioral economists, is that which we do not consider: the mindset of the people, the behavioral pattern of the people, the culture within which corruption has existed for so long, which you want to now eliminate. If you don't attack the culture, if you don't attack the mindset, it will be a serious mistake. So, the lecture on the topic, Results Amidst Doubt, Unchaining the Mindset of Chronic Societal Cynicism to Win the Fight Against Corruption, is geared towards attacking that last bit. It is the last frontier of the fight against corruption. Without it, we are wasting our time. If the people do not join us in the fight, if the mindset of the people are such that they are not ready to accept the change that we want, they will attack both the change maker and the change itself. And if you are not careful, they will change the change maker. They will drive you out. And these things are not happening because of any fault of anybody. It's cultural. Historically, we have lived in a society where the social contract is not working. I am sure all of you here who are social scientists understand when I say social contract, not so? When we vote leaders, when we say the president has been inaugurated, when we say parliament has had its first session, there is a metaphysical contract signed between the people who voted them and them. And that contract is to say, you have to make our lives better. You have to deliver on your promises. It is because of your promises that we did not vote Mr. X. We voted Mr. Y instead because we believed Mr. Y's promises were better. The manifesto is the negotiation stage of the contract, and after election, the contract is signed and sealed with inauguration. What we have had in Sierra Leone is a consistent failure of that contract to make the people's lives better, to bring about policies that will bring socio-economic and political transformation, to ensure that, for example, universities are world class, to ensure that our hospitals have the resources, the materials to provide adequate and sufficient health care, to ensure that when we turn our taps open, water comes out of it, to ensure that when we put the switches on, there is electrical supply. If in the 21st century, people are going to the moon and back, people are breaking the barriers, people are making the impossible possible, we are harnessing nature to do the impossible. If in the 21st century we are worrying about these things I have said, then there is a total failure of social contract. Therefore, with this failure of social contract, our minds of the people have become suspicious. They have developed a culture of cynicism, a culture that does not believe in the good that comes from anything and anyone. Therefore, they look at institutions with suspicion. The Anti-Corruption Commission says we are fighting corruption. They say, let we are fine. The universities are saying we want to make it world-class university. They say, take the next world down. A president comes and says, I want to build the Lungi Bridge to connect land and land. They say, no, that is impossible. It's not going to happen. We are cynical. We do not see the good in others. And we do not even believe that there is a better tomorrow. And that has brought us into reclusion. And in that reclusion state that we are in, we prefer to lay emphasis on the present. We prefer to get what we can today because we are not willing to sacrifice for tomorrow. Because as far as we are concerned, tomorrow has a malignant outcome. It means tomorrow will never be better. We are stuck in a perpetual state where we believe that yesterday better pass today. So, once we are in that state, and these things I am telling you, I am not telling you because they are new. These are things that are well written about. When it comes, there is what we call a long test. When it comes to societal cynicism, the mind is stuck in the past. The innovator who comes to change, the one who comes to bring about change, to remove the people from that thinking to something else, is believed to be a wrongdoer. Because we prefer to be stuck in that past. The evidence about we have a negative assessment of human nature and a biased view of some groups and a mistrust of social institutions and a belief that people disregard ethical means to get to where they are. So if you are in class with a female student who is doing very well, you say she sleeps with all the lecturers. If you have a lecturer who comes to class every day, you say Jesus never failed. In fact, some students hate that lecturer. For no reason, he comes to class and they just get angry. But this man said, what's this problem now? It's because there is nothing wrong with the lecturer. It is you who are cynical. The lecturer is only doing that which he is paid to do and the right thing. But that is what cynicism does. You don't even know. So the evidence is everywhere that in our society, this is what we are suffering from. We believe that it is rare for there to be happy endings. So if a government comes and says, we are going to transform the lives of the people, they say, it's the same thing we had in 1986. The reality of all of this, for all of us, all this happening is that we remain backwards and unprogressive because of our mindset. We are not ready. What cynicism in fact does is that it makes you not to have enough ambition. So, people are going to the moon, but you say, why do I have to go to the moon? Let's just do the little things. The statistical reality of all of this is damning. And I will give you some of them. According to the Global Hunger Index, Sierra Leone ranks 107 out of 117. That means our hunger status is serious. We are very hungry. Even though we have been teaching agriculture in NJALA University before I was born, we are very hungry. When it comes to hospital beds, per 1,000 is 0.4 in Sierra Leone. Physicians per 1,000 is 0.025. If you understand statistics, this is worrying. That means all of us in here, we are not even enough for one doctor to treat all of us. So if all of us fall sick at the same time, by the time that one doctor finishes with other people before getting to us, we will have died. This is our reality. Our life expectancy in Sierra Leone right now sits at 54 years. 54 years. It was the lowest, it was one of the lowest in the world in 2017. We were only ahead of 4 countries. Yes. 54 years. So by the time we are approaching 30, there is how many more years? 24 years left. We should be worried. Sierra Leone, when it comes to economics, has had a severe stagnation. Our GDP dropped 22% in 2015 because of Ebola. The country ranks 167 with economic growth said to be undermined by restrictive regulatory environment, inadequate infrastructure, and weak enforcement of contracts. Our financial system lacks capacity. We have a very poor financial system. The MCC scorecard, what was the percentage? 4%. 4%. 4%. We are not far away from the gorilla. Because the gorilla will be at 0. We are at 4% when we are going for 100. It means there is a serious problem. Sometimes we ignore these things, but they are very serious. To get 4% in financial and regulatory policy is a serious problem. According to the Mo Ibrahim Index, Sierra Leone ranks 26 out of 54 in Africa. When you look at that closely, the absence of corruption, we are 39 out of 54. That means we are not even doing well even with the fight against corruption that much. Absence of government involvement in armed conflict, 40. Women's political representation, 42. Sustainable economic opportunity, 39. Budget balance, 49. We are always in the high scores. That means we are far behind. When it comes to the fight against corruption, we currently boast are lying at 119 out of 180. There are many statistics which are in this. I am going to give the report to you, the written, so you can read them for yourselves. But what I wanted you to understand, students and faculty, is that our situation is terrible. The statistics out there, the outlook is not good. We have to do something together. We have to unite. We have to capture our mindset to be willing to unite, to put away those things that hold us from being united, to confront our common problems. We are in this state of failure because in everything we do, there is opportunism. There is high level of opportunism. We lie, we cheat, we deceive to get what we want. And there are people who are happy for that. They clap for you. A society that is underreading, that lies beneath it, is of that nature. If integrity is not the foundation upon which the nation is built, that nation cannot survive for long. We exhibit what we call, there is an economist called George Akerlof, the lemon problem. The lemon problem, the lemon economy, is an economy that is built on deceit. So, you want oranges, but what you actually get is lemons. Deception and dishonesty underlie our actions, and that includes even in our academics. There are people with degrees that are not degrees at all. We have people who call themselves economists. They are not economists at all. And the worst of all, they have documents to back it up. What we have is a lemon. It is not oranges. And what we should be aspiring for is oranges. A lemon economy is an economy that is built on deception. Just go to the market. You want to buy Adidas. Adidas is quality, not so. You will meet their Abibas, A-B-I-B-A-S. That is deception. And it's the same thing that happens with our lives. So because we have built an economy of this nature, people are called lawyers, but they are not lawyers. So they cannot solve our legal problems. People are economists, they are not really economists. So we score 4% in MCC scorecard. People are doctors, but they are not really doctors. I am not saying there are no good doctors among them, there are. I am not saying there are no good lawyers among them, there are. I am not saying that we don't have economists. But because everything is fundamentally flawed, that which is deceiving taints the general. Therefore, we now have a more difficult problem in Sierra Leone. Those of you who understand economics, you know what is called game theory. You know, right? Game theory is my action and your actions and the other person's action and what will create the aggregate outcome. Not so? So, if I teach well at NJALA University, students will come out who are well educated and they can go and apply what they have learned at NJALA University to transform the country. Not so? But for game theory, there is also another thing called the Nash equilibrium. Do we know what the Nash equilibrium is? At least the economists. Okay. The Nash equilibrium is basically when you have various participants. People who are all acting together so that they can produce the aggregate outcome. But the action of another person will determine the success of my own action. Do we understand? So for example, when strategies are introduced and policies are introduced, it will require various actors to produce the aggregate outcome of that policy. When, for example, the Anti-Corruption Commission launched the strategy, the new strategy that was launched, the anti-corruption strategy for Sierra Leone, which we call the National Anti-Corruption Strategy 2019 to 2023. At the heart of that strategy said, we have to enforce the laws. The reason why Sierra Leone is failing in the fight against corruption, because we have good laws that we are not enforcing. We have good regulatory policies that we are not taking through. So now we are going to focus on enforcement. But to succeed in enforcement, there are various actors. The Commission can have all the willpower. We can have all the resources. We can want to push it forward. But we rely on the police. We rely on the judiciary. We rely on the government. We rely on the citizens to be able to produce the aggregate outcome. So in the Nash equilibrium, if all these actors are not acting in one accord, one actor will be cancelling the other person's actions. Are we following? So for example, the Anti-Corruption Commission will investigate all the cases. No sacred cow. You commit offense, whether you are minister, whether you are parliamentarian, whosoever you are, the commission can investigate and prosecute. But the commission relies on the judiciary. At the end of the day, firstly, to convict you where there is evidence. And if they convict you, for them to impose the punishment that will send the right message. Are we following? So if that actor, the judiciary, for example, for no explainable reason, the judiciary cannot impose custodial sentence. They cannot. They will impose custodial sentence, the minimum, 3 years imprisonment, and they also impose the minimum fine, 30 million euros. Some people already go to court with 30 million euros in their bag. And they tell us, you have been wasting your time. And the moment the judge sentences 30 million euros, they pay in court and they move away. But in the meantime, the man has stolen 1 billion euros. So he has 1 billion euros to enjoy and live ever happily after. So, The Nash equilibrium is our problem in Sierra Leone. Where, for example, the government will be doing things and the opposition is negating it. The commission will be doing things, but other people are working to undermine it. And there is no way one of the actors can succeed without relying on the other actors' response to the policy. All these are products of cynicism, are products of a people who do not want to change. You see, members of the faculty, staff, students, we have to understand that we have a task at hand. And it goes beyond political will. It goes beyond resources. It is more a battle that should be fought in the air. For us to recognize that if this country is to change, we have to rally behind good. We have to believe that there is a good that comes in man and not view him with suspicion. At least give him the benefit of the doubt. It is only then that we can be able to sufficiently change the story of our country. But if, for example, we continue to work hard and other people undermine that effort, if, for example, we are doing what we can to change what is happening in the country, we charge people to court. When they go to court, there is a famous old case in England called Rule Meeting against DPP. The decision may have been made by a judge who was in fact drunk on that day. But that decision is what our courts rely on. So, Rule Meeting against DPP says, even the slightest of doubt should be adjudged in favor of the accused person. Do you think the way corruption works, if we say that is what we are going to apply, we are going to succeed much? We have to be really ready to change strategy. If we are applying a 1918 ruling, 1935 ruling to 2018, without wanting to be progressive, other countries have. In South Africa, for example, they have said, no. Rule Meeting against DPP is merely a guiding principle. But we can deviate from it for policy reasons. This is what a progressive society does. Therefore, we have to understand that our country is afflicted by chronic societal cynicism. And that cynicism is holding us back more than any policy that can be passed, more than any will that can exist, more than any problem that we can have. The problem is with us ourselves. We are stuck in the past. We believe that yesterday is better than today. We do what we call hyperbolic discounting. We exaggerate things. So, because the future is unknown, we don't want to go there. We prefer to rely on the present. And a society that is not willing to venture into the future is an unprogressive society. If we have to win the fight against corruption, we have to move away from the polarization. In the colonial days, it used to be the western area against the protectorate. Of course, those of you who did history, you understand that, not so? You know the Creoles, when the British used to play the Creoles against the protectorate people, not so? Now, we are entrenching the Northwest divide against the Southeast divide. These are things we have to walk away from. It is now outdated. We have to take on a collective identity and move on. As we are doing this, let us understand that when people are in that nature, they are suspicious of the other. We engage in what we call a collective ruin. A collective ruin. We are in a multi-person prisoner's dilemma. I am suspicious of you, I'm suspicious of him, I'm suspicious of him. So I don't even give him information. I hold my information because I don't know what he will do when he receives it. I don't show my move because if I know, I am suspicious of what he will do with it. So nothing moves. Everybody is waiting for the other person to move, and nobody moves. So the country is stagnated. And that is what the statistics is showing. We are not moving forward at all. In fact, for most part, in most situations, we are moving backwards. You see, we are now in what we call the Machiavelli's problem. We all know Niccolo Machiavelli, not so? We've heard of him. He's a great thinker, as way back. And he said many things which are still very useful today. And I'm going to read a quote from Machiavelli for you. And I want you to listen to it very carefully. Because I am sure by the time I finish, you will see how true what he's saying and how that is applicable to Sierra Leone. The Machiavelli's problem is put in this quote. When there is a change, all those who profit from the old order will be opposed to the new order. Whereas all those who might benefit are at best tepid supporters of the new system. This lukewarm arises partly for fear of their adversaries, who have the laws on their side, or partly from the skeptical temper of men who do not really believe in new things, unless they have been shown to work well. Do we follow what that says? When there is a change, those who are part of the old order do not believe the new order. They are against the innovations of the new system. So if you say you are fighting corruption, they say, no, what corruption? You are just here to steal. Those who are also in support of the new system, they are very slow to really come on board, because they themselves do not believe in new things. So they hold back. And the reason Machiavelli gives for this is two. One, because those in the new system have the law on their side. They are basically in charge of the law. The minister is part of the new system. The president appoints the judges. He pays them. The parliamentarians are all part of the system. And nobody thinks that they can bring any change. So the law is on their side. So they are thinking that it will be used against us. They are merely tepid supporters. Tepid means they are lukewarm. They are not very quick to jump into the conclusion that the changes that will be brought will bring about change. But Machiavelli says that the only way that can be changed is for us to do the things that produce results. And when those things work well, the society will learn to accept. It will learn to accept the innovator. It will learn to accept the new things. And that is what we have to do for Sierra Leone. In Sierra Leone, we have to create a strategic substitution system where we cannot wait for everybody, because we have this mass affliction of the mind without us knowing at all. If we say we are waiting for everybody to believe, it is going to be a problem. Our generation is going to fail down without results. It is for this generation, which you all are part of, to believe and develop a critical mass of enlightenment that can produce results for the country. And once those results are coming in, the economy is back. You bring systems that will make the economy better. So the economics, the macroeconomics, triples down to the pocket of the individual. He suddenly wakes up in the morning and realizes that he has more to eat, that he has more in his pocket. He will learn to believe. If we are fighting corruption, for example, we have to produce results. If not, nobody is going to believe what we are doing. So if we are not getting the convictions that should make them believe, if we are not recovering assets and letting them know that when we are fighting corruption, we are producing results, they will not believe. But when we are doing these things that produce results for the country, that is the time we can be able to change the story of Sierra Leone. Therefore, as I conclude, faculty and staff of NJALA University in Mokone, I invite all of you to put up a positive thinking. We have to think Sierra Leone. We have to shed our cynicism. We have to believe in those who are trying to make things better. Even at NJALA University, the professors who are trying to bring about change, let us stand behind them. We have to understand that we have nothing to gain if we are perpetually, dangerously trapped in a nasty equilibrium, where we are suspicious of the other person's movement and nobody moves. If we do that, we will have created a society that will change our story from poverty amidst plenty. We will have transformed Sierra Leone into a country where we can build our own state-of-the-art schools. We can equip our hospitals. We can have the best brains to work in institutions. We can bring in the best of equipment. We can feed ourselves. We can make our roads. We can make discoveries in medicine. We can develop things and do things without having to beg from China and the US. I call on all of us, you here all, to be that difference. In your eyes, I can see the change that Sierra Leone needs. All you need to do is to shed away cynicism and believe. Where else can victory harvest? Where else can we harvest victory if it is not in all of us here? I am therefore calling all of us to be result-oriented, to believe that the change that Sierra Leone really needs lies in all of us. In you, in me, in the professors, and everybody here present. I thank you all.